Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something pretty wild. How one of our body's toughest, most resilient organs can, well, silently destroy itself from the inside out. Yeah, we're talking about the liver and this sneaky process called cirrhosis that turns it from a vital powerhouse into a mass of scar tissue. So let me ask you this. What if your body's main powerhouse, this incredible factory inside you, was slowly and quietly being replaced by scar tissue and you didn't even know it? I know, it sounds like something out of a movie, right? But this isn't science fiction. It's the silent and very real story of chronic liver disease. Okay, so before we get into how it all goes wrong, we really need to give the liver its due. We have to appreciate what it's doing for us 24/7. So that's our first stop, the liver, our unsung hero. And trust me, it's so much more than just a filter. It is literally your body's command center for metabolism. I mean, just look at this to-do list. It is absolutely staggering. This organ, which weighs about 1.5 kilos, is a total multitasking marvel. It's juggling all the nutrients from your food, carbs, proteins, fats. It's producing essential proteins, synthesizing clotting factors, and it's also a storage unit for crucial vitamins and iron. And that's not all. It's also processing waste, neutralizing toxins, and even helping to run your immune system. It's a non-stop, unbelievably critical job. So what happens when this powerhouse, this hero, gets hurt over and over and over again? Well, that's where our story takes a turn. Let's move into section 2. The scarring process begins, because this is where the body's own attempt to heal itself can go completely, terribly wrong. Right, cirrhosis doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's the end result of persistent injury. The culprits are probably ones you've heard of. Long-term excessive alcohol use, something called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or NAFLD, which is becoming super common. Then you've got chronic viral infections like hepatitis B and C and a few others. But you see the common thread here, right? The key word is chronic. It's about constant, relentless damage. So when the liver is under this constant attack, just imagine a non-stop alarm bell ringing inside it. And that alarm does what alarms do. It calls in the emergency services. It activates the liver's own internal repair crew, and they jump into action, starting a healing process that, is supposed to be a good thing. And who's on this repair crew? Well, the main players are these guys, hepatic stellate cells. Now, in a healthy liver, these cells are pretty chill. They just hang out, storing vitamin A. But when that alarm bell won't stop ringing, they get activated, and they completely transform. They go from quiet storage units to full-blown scar-making factories, just pumping out tons and tons of collagen. And that is the very start of what we call fibrosis. Now, this whole scarring thing isn't like flipping a switch. It's a slow, gradual takeover. Doctors actually have stages for it. You start at F0, a perfectly healthy liver. Then you creep into F1 with a little bit of scarring. By F2, that scar tissue starts connecting, forming these little bridges. F3 is severe scarring. And then you hit F4. That's cirrhosis. That's when the liver's beautiful, organized architecture is basically gone, completely replaced by scar tissue and hard nodules. And this hostile takeover, it can take years, sometimes decades. And that brings us to a really critical turning point in this story. Section 3, cirrhosis, a liver remodeled. This is it. This is the point of no return, where the scar tissue has officially won the battle. It's taken over, and it has completely changed the organ and wrecked its ability to do its job. The physical difference is it's stark. A healthy liver, it's soft, it's smooth, it's organized into these amazing, efficient little hexagonal units. But a cirrhotic liver, it's the total opposite. It's hard, it's shrunken, it's lumpy and irregular. That beautiful, organized structure is just gone. It's been replaced by these chaotic, jumbled nodules of liver cells trapped inside a web of scar tissue, and that web chokes off blood flow and just cripples its function. And we're not just talking about something you can only see under a microscope. Oh no, doctors can see this transformation plain as day. On a CT scan or an ultrasound, a cirrhotic liver just looks wrong. It's often small and shrunken with a bumpy, lumpy outline instead of a nice smooth one. And here's another huge clue they look for, an enlarged spleen. That tells them that the whole system is getting backed up. Okay, so the liver's structure has failed, the architecture is a mess. What happens next? What are the consequences? That's what we're going to cover in Section 4, when the system fails. Because now we're talking about the truly life-threatening complications that pop up when the liver just can't compensate anymore. Pretty much all the awful problems of advanced cirrhosis boil down to one single central issue. And the best way to think about it is like a dammed river. All that scar tissue is the dam. It's blocking the blood that's trying to flow through the liver. So what happens? The pressure builds up, and that blood has to find somewhere else to go, usually through new, very dangerous pathways. This massive plumbing backup is really the root of almost everything that goes wrong. And this whole dammed river situation, it has a medical name: portal hypertension. You see, the portal vein is this huge blood vessel. It's like a superhighway that brings all the blood from your gut and your spleen to the liver to be processed. When that highway is blocked by a wall of scar tissue, the traffic jam is epic. The pressure inside that system just skyrockets. It's a direct physical result of the liver being all clogged up. One of the most dramatic and visible signs of this intense pressure is something called ascites. That's a massive buildup of fluid in the belly, and it happens because of a crazy domino effect. First, you've got that super high pressure in the portal vein. That pressure forces other blood vessels in your gut to widen, which actually makes your body's overall blood pressure drop. Your body freaks out, thinks you're dehydrated, and goes into emergency mode, holding on to every last drop of salt and water it can. So now you've got this perfect storm. Insane pressure pushing fluid out of your veins, and a body that's totally waterlogged. And where does all that fluid go? It leaks right into your abdomen. But it gets even scarier, because this doesn't just affect your abdomen, it affects your brain. This is called hepatic encephalopathy. See, since the liver isn't doing its detox job anymore, all the toxins from your gut, especially ammonia, just bypass the liver and go straight to your brain. This can cause a whole range of problems, from a little bit of confusion all the way to a deep coma. One of the classic signs doctors look for is when a patient literally can't draw a simple 5-pointed star. Their brain just can't coordinate the action anymore. So for someone with advanced cirrhosis, their brain is basically living on a knife's edge. It takes almost nothing to tip them over into one of these episodes of confusion. Something as simple as getting a little dehydrated or having a minor infection or even just being constipated. Any of those can be enough to overwhelm their system. It just shows you how incredibly fragile their whole internal balance has become. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking after hearing all that. How on earth could something this devastating go unnoticed? And that is the final and maybe the most important part of this whole story. Section 5, a rising silent threat. This is all about why this disease is so sneaky and why it so often flies under the radar until it's way too late. It all comes down to this. Your liver is an absolute champion at compensating. It has this massive functional reserve. What that means is you can lose a huge chunk of your liver function before you ever feel a single thing. So for years, sometimes decades, while all that scarring we talked about is slowly building up, the person can feel totally fine. They're completely asymptomatic. And that silence has absolutely devastating consequences. Take a look at this graph. It shows a really startling trend. You know, over the last few decades, we've gotten so much better at treating big killers like heart disease. You see that line going down? But look at the line for liver disease. It's doing the exact opposite. It's been on a steep, terrifying climb. It really is a silent epidemic. So what this all really boils down to is that cirrhosis isn't the beginning of the story, it's the end. It's the final chapter of a long, quiet disease process. All the damage happens in silence, and you don't know about it until the whole system starts to fail, and these life-threatening complications show up. And that leaves us with the biggest question of all, doesn't it? How do we protect this unsung hero, our liver, before that first bit of scar tissue ever even starts to form?